What's up, guys? Just wanted to make a little impromptu video with some thoughts I've been having about how society runs on a programmatic level, so to speak. I've been really interested in the science of social engineering and how, from an anthropological standpoint, how modern day society runs, or how human societies run in general. And what I noticed is that there are certain tropes which are common, and by tropes I just mean just common things that on an individual level we do in our daily lives that make up the macro or the entire society as a whole. And one of them is the intersexual dynamics between men and women. Now, going back to the common trope, boy, girl goes to the K through 12 educational system. In the past, it wasn't as common, college education, but so it's becoming more and more common. Boy and girl matriculate from the K through 12 to the secondary educational institution, i.e. college, sometimes trades, if you consider that. Boy meets girl. Girl, boy becomes married. Boy and girl have child. Boy and girl go on to work, take care of child, amass income. Boy and girl get married, or they were getting married previously, purchase home. Boy and girl raises child or children in home, in neighborhood, and they send offspring to the educational system, and it repeats. Obvious. That's the whatever. There are some other factors to include, the declining in marriage rates, the decline, and which is the point I'm bringing up, the decline in men attending colleges, the decline overall of home ownership. These things which make up the machinations of society. That's what, because when a man, for example, gets with a woman, he is like on an instinctive level compelled, once he has children with her, to take care of those children, to provide for their offspring. And that's the way society's been shaped. And because he's invested resource-wise in the rearing of these children, and the woman, of course, is invested on a biological, instinctual level because she carried the baby, they tend to root in one place, of course, settle down, and put money into the tax system, which is basically the commerce system. And then that's how society goes. And because those communities are made up of individuals in those situations, they have adherence and loyalty to the said community. And then you have a community, you have a family. So communities are made up of families. There has been a breakdown, if you look at it, in families. You got to look at people like how someone who studies animals looks at animal populations, looks at lemurs. It's a little... I know, but you got to look at it from like that. Society runs that way, of course. It is so obvious when you think about it. Of course, what's your point? What's your point? The point is, as the generations and decades go on, that breaks down more and more. And you ponder, and I'm not the first to ponder, there's just many studies and studies. What does that lead to? I'll tell you what it leads to, in my opinion, and maybe back to the science. It leads to a breakdown in society. When men are not compelled to succeed and compete in the commerce system, to basically go out and select a mate and then settle down and pay into the tax system. For example, did you know that 70% of all tax revenue the United States gets is from men? What happens is you have a lot of economically disadvantaged young men wandering aimlessly with no purpose. Failure to launch syndrome, whatever they call it. People are getting married older and older. People, like, for one, women are going to school more and more. They're getting laden with more and more unforgivable debt from the U.S. government. The cost of homes are increasing every year, to where home ownership among, like, for example, the millennial generation, I guess, where I belong to in that dynamic, has decreased. Less home ownership, birth rates declining, the rise in, if there are birth rates, the rise in single parent households, which is statistically tied to a rise in crime, lack of literacy, drug addiction, all kinds of other bad things. You know, two parent households, from a objective level, is better families, so a better family model. All of these things are intrinsically tied together to, I would say, a decay in the societal structure. And when I study these things about social engineering, there's a lot of outside and external factors influencing this. There's a lot of policies influencing this, and there's a lot of belief systems being propagated through media, movies, television, video games, all of this that are I could talk more deeply in depth, but this is just a ramble. They're contributing to these things. A breakdown in society can actually be manufactured multi-generationally. That's basically the big conclusion I'm getting to. That's actually possible to do. A concerted effort amongst various groups of people can achieve these things with a multi-generational plan. Multi-generational meaning their adherence to a goal or an agenda that they may not even be alive to see come to fruition, but they're dedicated to it nonetheless. And I'm going to tell you what garners that type of dedication amongst a group, what brings solidarity and lockstep amongst people. I'll tell you, there is only one glaring similarity and example that brings that type of dedication amongst human beings. Religion. Argue this. What is the longest standing, I'm not even going to say organization, but what is the longest standing beliefs held in the human psyche, the human psyche, that has stood through the test of time through many empires? Religion. Religion is a belief, and not any particular religion, but religion in itself is a belief that we uniquely as humans are able to come together. We may have different differences and stuff within that religion, different sects and stuff, but it has tied us together, millions, billions of people, multi-generationally, to a common goal or belief system, whatever. Religion makes that possible. So I want to argue that if you look at the signs of the times and look around you, the things that are happening, there's only one force that, if there was a multi-generational effort that led to the decay in society, and again, I'm just off the cuff random, that would have to be from the perspective of a religious movement. What if I told you there is a religion that predates Christianity, Buddhism, all the other well-known religions, and that there are people who adhere to this religion, and it's still practiced today. It's almost as ancient as man himself. Before you dismiss such a claim as something ludicrous, I want you to consider it as true. Think to yourself, how it can be true? Before you dismiss it. I'll let you know. Got a call coming in. Next time, this is Bitcoin Bandit.